26 декабря 1989 года прошел матч в рамках суперсерии между командами НХЛ и клубами СССР в рамках турне советских команд по Северной Америке. В том матче встречались ЦСКА и Виннипег Джетс. За ЦСКА играли вратарь Артур Ирбе из Динамо Рига, Чистяков из Трактора, Бякин из Автомобилиста, а также Ширяев, Степанищев и Христич из Киевского Сокола. Сергей Зубов, Павел Буре, Андрей Коваленко и Вячеслав Буцаев не играли, так как выступали за сборную СССР на чемпионате мира среди молодежи.
Now the puck back of the Soviet line. With it is Kravchuk. He sends it up to the jet line. Trying to work in his Fedorov. Leaned on by Olesen. The backhand. And a quick glove hand save by Stefan Beauregard. His pass picked off by Fenton. In for McDermott in deep. It comes back. Here's Ellett. Puts it in front. Fenton fired it wide. Trying to work it in front unsuccessfully. And Newman gives it to McElwain. McElwain back to Newmanen, goes behind his net. He's checked back there by Kryastikov. He centers at the shot. Beauregard the save. And Newmanen to Hamyatov to Kamensky at center. Up to the jet line. His shot. Kicked aside by Beauregard. He gets to center. As far as the Soviet line, and Kravchuk turns it around. Gives it to Christian. Checked by Steen. He scored! Unassisted.
Well, a steal in front of the net, and it was classic Steen. As the defenseman coming out tried to throw that puck up ice fire, Steen put his whole body in front of it, knocked it down.
And back with it for Central Red Army is Konstantinov. On the left side, gets it over to Kristiakov, to Fedorov, a shot. Beauregard the save, rebound. Beauregard, two more saves. It's sent back to the point. Here's Konstantinov, puts it into the corner. Gets up to center ice. Left side pass to McElwain. McElwain cutting at the net. Rolled it through the crease in heavy traffic. There's going to be a penalty to the Soviets. Well, you may have heard Bob Murdoch say he wants to try McElwain in the power play. Here's Howardchuk's shot. It goes in deep. Now McDermott behind the goal. Into the last minute of period one. The Jets are the only goal. That was scored by Thomas Steen. Now up the right side. Here's Meslednikov, who's out in front of the net. Dropped it off. And unable to get a shot away was Fedorov. It's Mantha behind his goal. Puts it around on the boards. Moving in from the point is Stilnov. His shot kicked away by Beauregard. Now moving in from the point. Here's Fedorov. Fires it wide. Stilnov at the point. His shot is wide. Gets in across the jet line. Trying to dance through. Puts it back in front. And Taglianetti starts away 4-on-2 at center ice. Gives to Ashton. Back to Taglianetti. Shot at the side of the goal. Now the puck in the Red Army zone. Fenton holds it at the blue line. It's poked away from him by Bikov, who goes to center. Gets over the line. Dropped it off. It's out in front. Here's Kamensky. Shot is wide. 1-0, the Jets lead. 5 minutes into the second period. Here's Ashton. In across the Red Army line. Moves in the shot. Ashton went right around Shiryev. Let the shot go, and Irby knocked it away. Now Shiryev sends it around to the boards. Olesen pinches in, ties up his man, and the Soviets 3-on-1. Here's Fedorov at center. In across the line to Shiryev. His pass across, and it was relayed back for Fedorov wide of the intended receiver.
Well, Peter Taglianetti did really the only thing he could. He went after the guy with the puck.
Mantha's pass goes to Fenton. Into the Soviet zone, back to Howardchuk. Out in front, Fenton tried to cash in, and Irbe knocked it away. McDermott out front for Fenton, had his stick lifted, and it's dumped to center ice. Olesen gives to Taglianetti, who says this is exhibition. Now the puck at the Soviet line. Here's Fenton to McElwain, a great save by Irbe off McElwain. Now the puck is into the Jet zone. Beauregard, his pass goes off McElwain, out in front of the Jet goal, and McElwain, he can fly up the left side, 3-on-1, in across the Russian line, looks out in front of McDermott, and the pass was broken up. Good defensive play by Stilnov. Deep in his zone, nearing the midway mark of period number 2. Kamensky gathers speed up the middle. His lead pass goes in across the line to Kamyatov. Out front, here's Kamensky, rolls it in deep backhand, save, rebound. The net was knocked loose. The Soviets are celebrating, but referee Morozov seems to be indicating no goal.
Well, they call it holding. I would have called it
time of the
roughing
penalty,
at least.
11 minutes, 10 seconds.
So the Soviets get the man advantage for the second consecutive time. Now Smale, his clearing pass. Here's the shot, and the save by Beauregard. Smale. Now Newman trying to clear. Can't. It goes back to the point again to Biakin. He gets it along the boards for Kaminsky. Back to Konstantinov. A shot. Great save. Beauregard. Rebound. It was fired high and wide, and the penalty is over. Gets outside the zone for Ashton at center ice. Ashton stops, fell down, and it's picked up by Davidoff. 2-on-1 with Kostichkin. Here's Davidoff. Cuts in front. Beauregard the save. Fedorov puts it back to Shiryev. To Fedorov. To Kostiakov. He comes up the right side into the jet zone. Dropped it off. Here's Shiryev. His pass for Kostiakov. Shiryev right in the slot, elected to pass. Now he gets another shot, and this one was blocked by Taglianetti. And it's sent back to the jet line. Newman puts it up the middle. Howardchuk is checked. It's sent back to the jet line, and here's Newman in over the Soviet line. His pass, Donnelly's backhand, and the save by Urbe. Howardchuk looks in front. Everybody's stationary. Gets it back to Steen. To Ellen at the point. Back. Here's Steen, moves it to Howardchuk beside the net. Out in front. They score! Olsson.
Well, and again, Thomas Steen was in on that play. He and Dale Howardchuk setting it up nicely, and Howardchuk on the post, Briar.
Is Stilnov at center. 2-0. The Jets lead it. 2:48 left. Here's a 2-on-1. Bykov in across the line. Gets it over. Beauregard the save on that shot by Kaminsky. Gets it over on the right side to Malahov. His relay knocked down by Donnelly. Now it goes in across the line. Here's Fedorov moving in front. Now moves to the right. Lets it go. Beauregard the save. He can't find the rebound. It's picked up. Now the shot from close range, not much on it,
But nothing has gone in for them.
well, they've carried the play in this second period. But the Jets have scored the lone goal and lead 2-0. Here's a 2-on-1 for the Soviets. Komica out front. Bykov. Beauregard the save again.
I got that big blocker up on him.
Here's Mantha to Steen. In across the Soviet line. Steen moves to the right side. Back to Mantha. The shot. Now Steen in the corner. Looks back to Mantha. His shot wide. After it is Ellett to Bykov. He's checked. McElwain back for Winnipeg. Puts it behind the net. Here's Ellenuk looking in front. Sends it back. Taglianetti shot wide. It comes to the side. Ashton trying to bang it in. And covering up is Herbe with 3 seconds left in the second period. Now with it is Biakin. Gets up to the jet line trying to work it across. And Kumpel starts back. He gets to center ice trying to work by Bykov. Goes into the Soviet. He scored!
Mark Kumpel from outside. The circle's almost the blue line. He surprised Herbe.
Here's Kostichkin. Puts it behind his net to Stelnov. Up to Kostichkin at center. He gets round Cronin in across the line. Kostichkin cuts out he scored!
Well, that was a nice move by Kostichkin. He went in all alone over the blue line and cut in front.
So it's 3-1. The Jets lead. Now with it at center ice. Here come the Soviets again. In across the line goes Stepanashev. In behind the net. Puts it out in front. And after it there is Smale. Can't clear. Turning it around. Here's a shot knocked down. And loose puck unable to convert was Stepanashev. Now with it is Kistakin. He gets the pass on the right side, and it's sent back to center. Here's McElwain in flight into the Soviet zone, cutting at the net, and it's grabbed and dropped aside by Herbe. Gets it out to center ice, out of the penalty box. Kaminsky hands it off, in across the line. Newman cuts in front of Chibarev. It goes rink wide to Kaminsky. Dumps it at the net. It comes out in front. And Mantha goes behind the goal. Puts it into his own corner to Malahov. He's stopped by Sykes. He centers it. Donnelly trying to grab a loose by backhand. Here's Sykes at the side of the goal. He dumps it ahead. Here's Haristich. Stopped at center ice by Kumpel to Howardchuk. Howardchuk's pass. Here's Smale scooting in after. He scored! Now with it along the boards is Meslenikov. He gets it back. Here's Biakin. A shot kicked away by Beauregard. Behind the net. It goes to Kostichkin into the corner. He has the lone goal. Gets it back to Malahov to Kostichkin along the boards. Into the circle. Shot hit the goal post. Now McElwain. Now the puck in the jet zone. It's centered out in front. And Cronin comes up with it. Dumps it away. Goes all the way back. Now the Soviets at center. With it now is Kostiakov. Dropped it off to Maselnikov. Out in front. And it was fired wide of an empty net. Olsson gives to Ellenuk along the boards. He gives to Ashton. Out front, Ellen shot. Herbe the save. It's hit back to the point. Here's Olesen. Gets it into Steen. Out front, Ashton trying to convert. And it was knocked away. Ashton stops. Back to Steen along the boards. Steen in deep. Feeds the point to Mantha. His shot deflected. Ashton tried the rebound.
By the Soviets and 20 by the Jets.
Now Shiryev puts it in front of the Jet goal. Loose puck. Ashton trying to clear. 7 seconds left. Soviets with a man event. Here's Shiryev shot. Beauregard the save. Ashton grabs it, dumps it away. The game is over.
The Winnipeg Jets, for the first time in their NHL history, have beat a Soviet team. They lost in 1980 to Moscow Dynamo 7-0. They rebound tonight to beat the Central Red Army 4-1 on the home of the Winnipeg Jets, 58 CKY.